Okay, so today I'm going to give you guys my review of season 2 of Dancemoms. So what I decided to do this time around is write down a bunch of my thoughts on the episodes. Apologies if it's out of order. I'm going to try to organize it better for season 3. I've already reviewed season 1 if you guys would like to check that out. So let's get into it. I do appreciate the step up in production quality. Like I said, I kind of like the amateurish vibe about season 1 in terms of the production and stuff like that. It feels like of its time, but the step up in production value is always appreciated, especially by me. And, it was a big jump from season 1, I felt. Next up, I don't get Abby because in season 1 she says, I wish that you guys would just drop the kids at the studio and just go home and let me work with them. And then you get mad at Holly for having a job and not being able to go to the studio and saying she doesn't care about Nia and her success and that you care about Nia more than she does. Like, that just makes absolutely no sense, and she was so disrespectful in regards to that. And then she was like, oh, Nia's not that swift. Like, Abby and just what she says about these girls is ridiculous. And then on the same token, she said that Chloe got full of herself after she got the music video and stuff like that, which is untrue. Like, Chloe's a very humble person, so that was just ridiculous. And on the first episode of the show, Chloe wins for her solo, Maddie wins for her solo, the group wins with Sassy Dolls, and I forgot that they even won for that dance. And, it was cute for what it was, but it was a good way to open up the season, I felt. Next up, Brooke leaving the show for cheerleading and all that stuff, that was basically fake for the show. Like, they basically just, made her do that, and then she comes back a few episodes later. So I just wanted to have that kind of moment there. Some people may not know. Next up, Bad Apples was a fun group dance. It really was. I enjoyed watching it yet again, and I believe Brooke had her Garden of Eden solo in the same episode, so I did like that as well. I don't get why Kathy would lie about a girl's age and think that they weren't going to figure that out, so, that was definitely a mess up thing. I do appreciate the Candy Apple episodes. They're always fun to watch. Kathy's commentary for the most part, so they're really entertaining for what they are. Kathy adds something to the show, and I like her better as a guest star on the show than her being in every episode because, that just wasn't it. And then Chloe's Proof solo, I feel like, is really underrated on the show. I really appreciated that one. I really liked Maddie's Every Little Step solo as well. They have auditions to see who is going to be on the team and replace Vivienne. And then Peyton doesn't make the cut, and Leslie's mad at it, but it's like, she is too tall. Abby told you that. You can see her standing next to the girls. Like, let's just be realistic. And then her just being so mad at, oh, find a spot for her on the team. Maybe she should dance with people that are her own age. Brooke works because Brooke was 5 feet tall, 5'1", because I believe the growth plate in her back broke. So that's why Brooke works in the group and why Peyton doesn't. So that was there. And I just cannot stand Leslie in general. She can never read the room. She's always making snide comments at the other girls. She's always arguing with the moms over stupid stuff. And she is just so irritating. Every single time she comes on the screen, every single time she makes a guest appearance, I just dread it, So that is something there. I can appreciate Peyton, for what she, added to the group. But in general, the group dances that she was in wasn't really my favorite. She was in that one about bullying, and that was just very boring to me. All Kids Go, I don't get that group dance. I get what she was trying to do, but I don't get how the dance kind of accomplishes what her theme was. I just feel like a lot of times Abby had mid-group dances. She had some really great stuff, but as the moms kind of said, her choreography does get stale. She does a lot of the same steps, just in different orders, and you kind of know how every dance is going to end. Maddie's probably going to do a turn sequence at the ending of the dance. They're going to have a turn or two. Some dances are going to do acro. It's kind of, baked in. You know what's going to happen. It's just in a different order, so they were kind of right about the choreography being stale. But yeah, then there was that one where she's being the hunter, and that dance was also kind of mid as well. So a lot of dances that Payne was in, I was just this is kind of mid. And that isn't anything against her. It was just Abby's choreography and some of her concepts. I don't really get it. And then, obviously Kendall gets picked out of the group of kids and Jill joins the show. So my basic thoughts on Jill is I don't like Jill. Her and Melissa are one and the same to me. They're very two-faced. They're going to speak highly of you whenever you're around them, and then they're going to flip on a dime. And, they change their opinions based on who they're around. They'll do anything to get their kid ahead. And so I just don't like Jill, and I just feel like she just gets annoying to deal with. She can never read the room. And she joins the show, and she's already kissing up to Abby with the gift, and then she also got her a bench, she got her and Gianna massages, and it's that's not going to help Kendall in the long run. So I will say that. Jill has some really funny moments on the show, she does, but in general, I just do not care for her, and she just gets worse as the show goes on, because she's just so ridiculously entitled. And then she's just so annoying because she's oh, when can Kendall get a solo? When can Kendall get a special part? When can Kendall get this and that? And it's you have to pay your dues. You have to earn that. Kendall is not going to get that every single week. So that was just really annoying to me as well. And I really can't stand Jill. I can't. And then Jill gets so ridiculous in the gym episode where they have to switch because the competition is canceled because Abby wanted them to have costumes that they'd never worn before. And of course, Jill can't follow the rules. And then, it looked like Kendall was going to perform, and then she does. And then her solo, I believe, is called Sweet Little Lies. That was a good solo, but Jill was just so ridiculous. Of course, they're going to be mad at you for not following the rules. You couldn't even do that. You think you're so above everybody. And so she's just annoying to me in that. I will say that the Becky Homeki line, that was hilarious, and the cowboy hat and all that stuff, like that scene was funny. It really was. And Christy's commentary on that was that I had my moments where I disagree with Christy. As I said before, I'm more neutral on her, I will say, but Christy pretty much always has funny commentary. She's a quick wit, as do like all the moms for the most part, so it's just entertaining. And then Nia forgets her solo and she ends up being able to redo it. I'm glad she got the opportunity to redo it. And like I said, forgetting your solo has to be traumatic, so that really has to be unfortunate, but at least she got to redo it. And then whenever Brooke does actually come back on the show, and then they do the pyramid, and then Brooke is at the top of the pyramid, and then, Peyton gets kicked off the team. That moment kind of was iconic, but I feel bad for Peyton, because imagine thinking you're on top of the pyramid, and then you get kicked off the show. So I felt bad for her in that moment. I don't feel bad for Leslie, though, because Leslie is just so irritating. So, it was deserved for Leslie, but I feel bad for Peyton. I will say that. And I really loved Chloe's Don't Catch Me solo. I thought that was a beautiful little piece for her. I really liked Maddie's Lights Camera Action as well. And both of those are in my top 10 for those respective dancers. I just thought that those were great solos. One moment on the season I think is really underrated is whenever Abby is arguing with Kelly, and then Kelly's like, oh, I can show you my Discover card payment that shows for the past 10 years I paid you in full. And Abby says, you're the reason I don't even take Discover anymore. Nobody talks about that moment again, but I mean, it was just so funny. I watched every scene multiple times. And then Paige's Make Some Noise solo 8. I'm glad she got on top of the pyramid for that solo. Avalanche Group Dance 8. That was always a really fun one as well. And Private Eyes is one of my favorite group dances for sure, so I wanted to give that one some love. Nip and Tuck, I appreciated it more watching it again. Chloe's Red Queen solo 8. It really did. It really did. And I wish that we would have got the full solo for this. That's what I don't get about Lifetime, because it's like, you guys make so much money off Dancemoms every year. Why do we not have more of the full solos? I don't know if it's like a licensing issue. Maybe they own the rights, if they lost the footage, if they can't use the footage. I don't know what it is. But you guys didn't start posting full solos and group dances until season 4. And you can find some of the full dances on YouTube, but not all. But I just wish that they posted more of the full dances, especially from season 1 and season 2. And as people said, why do they always have to put the mom or Abby's commentary in the middle of the dance? Like, why can't you wait until the end so I can see more of the dance? Because you guys are going to cut up the dance to oblivion anyway. And then the same episode where Chloe has a Red Queen solo, that is where Maddie forgets her solo in My Heart on Stage. She runs off the stage, and you can tell that she's just like so upset for herself for forgetting it, and for Abby's reaction and stuff like that as well. So I definitely will say, like, that has to be really unfortunate to forget your solo, as kind of already mentioned earlier. And I heard Abby want to let her redo her solo, which I think is ridiculous. If she wants to redo her solo and it works in the programming of the competition, then let her redo the solo. So I mean, that was just ridiculous. And then just the way that Abby was comforting her after she forgot her solo, saying it was all fine, and then the other girls, you ridicule them for forgetting the solo and everything, just double standards yet again, because that's just something there, because Chloe forgets her watercolors fade solo, and then she's mad at her. I think Mackenzie forgets part of her solo and she's mad at her, but rules are different for some people. And again, that's not a knock on Maddie, it's just about Abby and her favoritism towards Maddie and just how she treats the other girls. So nothing against Maddie, obviously. Chloe's Trouble solo, definitely 8. That was a fun one. I really liked the Twilight group dance. That was great. And that was the one with Chloe and Maddie and Brooke and Nick. They all looked great. One of my favorite group dances. I forgot the group dance that they did, the Ballet Alouette one. I really did. And man, it's just kind of the mid-group dance to me. Like, they just had better stuff. Jill is so wrong for asking Paige about the duet. The situation with the foot and her saying, fortunate for Paige, fortunate for Kendall. Like, that was just annoying. But that was a cute duet. That was. And I don't think Chloe and Kendall had another duet on the show. So I mean, I could appreciate it for what it was. I will say that. And then I think this is the same episode where Abby says Chloe is a sneak and a snake. And I mean, that's just disgusting to say. It really is. She always projected all these horrible things onto Chloe just because she didn't like Christy. And that's just wrong. That's just wrong. I will say that. And even whenever she had the field trip and then her just being so rude about the field trip, it's like there's other stuff outside of dance, and she still came back into the treble solo that week. So, that was distasteful. Nia's Working Girl solo was fun. It really was. I thought she nailed the solo. She was having a good time. So I like that one as well. It's so funny that Melissa says don't trust Kelly or Christy, because it seems like the dynamic of the show, at least at that time, was different because they're still king, they're still having fun. They even said that at a reunion. Like, we argue on the show, but we always have each other's back. So her saying that, it's kind of interesting. I kind of get it, but, I wanted to say that. Jill thinking that she can trust Melissa is so funny to me. It really is, because they basically are one and the same, and that's why they get along so well, and that's why I don't like either of them, as I was already kind of discussing. So that's something there. And then Jill's just unrealistic. Of course, Kendall was going to be at the bottom of the pyramid sometimes. Like, your kid's not always going to be at the top, and sometimes it's just going to shake out that way because someone got a higher score in their solo or the group dance or like whatever it was. So her just being unrealistic and expecting Kendall to get all the special treatment, I'll just never understand it. And she would has all these snide comments to say about the other girls and like Nia and Chloe and like all these things, saying Chloe's always second. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It really was. In general, I do think that Jill adds something to the show. I will say that. And I can appreciate what Kendall does bring to the group. I think she had some good solos in the show, so I'll definitely have my part of that as well. Like I said, my thoughts on the moms are going to be pretty similar to what I said in my season 1 video. So just a quick recap: I like Holly, best mom on the show. I rarely disagree with her. Everyone agrees she's basically the best. Christy, I've aired more on to kind of being neutral on her and more disliking, just because I agree with a lot of points that she says, but her delivery is just ridiculous, and I feel like she is jealous of Maddie now that I am rewatching the show. And I get you don't like Melissa, but don't take that out on Maddie. Just some of the stuff that she says and her delivery, it could be way better. So I err more towards that, but Christy's entertaining. Kelly, I like her a lot for the most part. I do. Some of the stuff that she says, I disagree with again, and sometimes I just feel like she brings up arguments that are unnecessary in terms of that, but I can appreciate how she always put her kids first, and that, dance isn't everything, and she made sure that they knew that. I could appreciate her for the most part. Melissa is two-faced, as they've already mentioned. I already said I don't like Jill. I don't like Leslie. And so, yeah, that's basically my recap of how I feel about the moms in general. Kendall with the candy apples was fake, basically. Like, she just did it for the show. Like, during the breaks of the show, she was still dancing with, the Abby Lee Dance Company and the stuff that wasn't recorded. And she came back to them a lot sooner. So I forgot how long that they were gone, from the actual show and, Abby's studio and stuff like that. Like, it was like multiple weeks. I was like, oh, I thought it was a lot shorter than it actually was. So that's something to say there. It's something that has been said. And the producers basically made her do that. She did not want to go to candy apples. I hate that Nia was collateral in that one episode where Kendall's at the candy apples and then she goes against her and then Kendall ends up winning, because it was really Nia's moment to shine. So I hate that for her. Jill going blonde is not neat. I don't like it at all. Most of Kathy's dances that she choreographed for the show were absolutely horrible. And Abby was right saying that she brings in ringers to basically do other choreography. She makes Vivi the human prop and, all that stuff as well. So yeah, Kathy's choreography was just not up to par in my opinion. Chloe got the Joffrey scholarship, so I was happy for her in that moment, and I don't think she was able to take it because of the show, but I wonder, what could have happened if she would have taken it. And, I will say Kathy's behavior and, like, starting stuff with the moms while they were doing that was just ridiculous. That was not the time and the place to do that. Like, are you kidding me? So, I just felt bad. And Maddie felt so guilty about not performing the In My Heart solo when Abby wanted to, and I just feel bad. Like, there was so much pressure on her. She always felt like she had to be perfect. She always felt like she had to do what Abby wanted, and then when she didn't, Abby would just make her feel horrible, and that's just a horrible dynamic that Melissa allowed on and that Abby cultivated, and I just really feel bad for her. So that was really unfortunate. She shouldn't feel that way. If she wasn't ready to do a solo, then she wasn't ready. She shouldn't be pressured into doing that. So that was ridiculous. And her getting on the bottom of the pyramid for not performing that solo is also ridiculous as well. I noticed with the pyramid, a lot of times the sequencing is different. Like, whenever Kendall leaves for the show, and you can see that they finished the pyramid, and then one frame you can see that Kendall's still there. So that's that. And then they reveal the pyramid in this one episode, and then whenever they're talking about the group dances and all the stuff like that, then the paper's back on top of the pyramid. So I will say that you can definitely tell it's out of sequencing sometimes. Abby throwing the chair at Paige was ridiculous. And it's just Kelly basically said that she was supposed to have the stoppers for it, and that the producers told her they would take care of it. They didn't, and then they wouldn't let her leave to actually go get them. So, that was on production. I just hate whenever they would do stuff like that to stir up drama. So I will say that, and it's unfortunate that Abby would, do that in front of Paige. Why would you do that? And then Melissa ratting out Chloe for going to the movies is ridiculous. She's just a kid. And then her saying that Chloe always rolls her eyes is ridiculous. And that's what I don't like that some of the moms do, is they talk down on other kids to kind of get their kid ahead or to make their kid have the edge and stuff. And it's just, yeah, I understand stuff's going to happen that isn't fair, but there's a better way to do it, honestly. I get having animosity for the moms, but the children's just ridiculous. And then Melissa makes Maddie do her In Her Heart solo, I believe, and again, that's not it. She wasn't ready, and just, forcing her to do that, and just having her, talk to Abby and be like, oh, I need to do and all that stuff. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? And something that I don't get is whenever Kelly pulls her kids' solos at the last moment when you already went to the competition. You were there, you went to the dressing room, and you sat there while they didn't perform the solo. If you were going to do the solo, fine, but pull it days before. Don't get them all the way there and then have them not perform it. They were already ready. Why not let them perform the solo? Some things that Kelly does, I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Next up, Chloe's Unchained Solo 8. I really enjoyed it. And I don't know if this is true, but some people said apparently Abby made sure that Maddie's music skipped whenever she performed In My Heart Again. Some people said that that isn't true. So if Abby did do that in some way, I think that it is messed up. Like, let's play fair, but I really don't know what the truth is about that. Maddie's Helen Keller Solo 8. It definitely deserved higher than 4th. I will say that. Daisy Chain, Mackenzie 8. That was a fun solo as well. And then adding back Peyton made no sense. It really didn't. I think this was the week that Brooke went for her high school formal or whatever it was. And so adding her back for the dance, I just already wasn't looking forward to it. So that was something there. And then Abby does something where she gives Maddie 2 solos again, and she has her win one competition and then go to the other. And that's just like sneaking underhanded, because you would never give the other girls this opportunity. And then Melissa is just never reading the room again. Like, oh, like, I would be happy for your kids that they do that. But they would never get that chance to do that. They never would. So that's just already annoying, because you already did it the first season and now you're doing it again. Holly dragging Abby 8 because she literally was talking about Nia's hair and oh, it's horrible and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, look in the mirror and all these things. So Holly ate her up so bad. That was hilarious. And the girls were laughing. Abby telling Maddie to bring her crowns was just inappropriate. It was, and it puts Maddie in an uncomfortable situation. And that's the whole thing with Abby putting Maddie so high up on this pedestal and everything, is you're telling all the other girls, oh, you'll never be like her. She's so much better than you. And you're putting all this pressure on her. And then you're also driving a rift between her and the other girls, and just the whole dynamic gets messed up. And I just feel bad for Maddie in that respect. So her doing that was just inappropriate. And then even her saying, oh, it's not about the crown, it's about the hard work you put into the crown. Well, then why couldn't you have said that? Why did you need her to bring the crowns there? So, you know, I just didn't really understand that. Chloe's Leave the Light On solo should have beat Justice. I did not like his solo. I don't get how he won by a tenth of point, so that's that. And then this is the episode where Abby wants Maddie to do a solo at the last minute, and then Melissa's like, I'm not going to have her learn a solo the night before. And then, you know, Chloe doesn't win, and then she's all harsh on Chloe. And it's just like, you really don't believe in Chloe. Like, you want Chloe to have all this confidence, but you're always saying rude things to her, showing her that you don't believe in her, and then you're setting her up with mediocre choreography, and then acting surprised when she doesn't win, when that's what you wanted the whole time. She even said somewhere in season 8, I didn't want Chloe to win, yet she won all the time, and she intentionally set her up multiple times. So, you know, I just think that was ridiculous. I like Chloe's solo for what it was, and, you know, that entire thing I thought was messed up. The Light My Fire group dance did not eat. One of her worst group dances ever, just so mediocre. And the episode where Paige finally does her tongue twister solo, and then Kelly changes the choreography. I mean, I kind of don't get why you would be so shocked that Abby would be mad that you changed the choreography. You know, like, you had to understand, like, that was going to happen. I wonder what Abby's original choreography was going to be. I honestly do. And I kind of wish that she would have performed it. We would have got to see it. And I wonder what she would have placed with that. But, you know, that's just something there. Like, you have to be prepared for that. And sometimes some of the things that the moms do, I'm just like, you know that this isn't going to go over well, like, objectively. And it just wasn't a good decision. So, you know, I didn't really get that. And then we have Black Patsy joining the show for a few episodes. She said that the kids weren't entertaining at the showcase. And I'm like, well, then why did you have her join? And she said something in a reunion about Abby making her kids stars. So I guess that's what she did. And then also she said the kids had good technique. But I'm just like, you're already, like, kind of taking shots. So, like, that's something there. She could have been treated better by the other moms. Like, there was definitely some combativeness. And I get the moms at a certain point, because you can't walk in and think that you're going to get all this special treatment. And I agree with Chrissy's point about it's so late in the season, we're about to go to nationals, and now you have her join the team. I will say that. But, you know, they could have just handled it better. And they even said, like, whenever Kaya reveals she's a lesbian and all that stuff, that they made it look like they weren't supportive or homophobic or whatever with the editing, like the silence, but it didn't really happen that way. Like, they just wanted to make them look bad, so I will say that. The group dance, I can see the kite flying. That did eat. I will say that. Abby's commentary on Chloe's Glitz and Glamour solo was crazy. She literally was talking about, oh, I want it to be about someone who step on everyone to get ahead. And Chloe has never been that way, so just her taking all the shots at Chloe was pathetic. Nia's 20 scat solo was cute. It was something different. I will say that. I could appreciate it. And I don't get why Abby got mad whenever they pointed the microphone towards Nakia about who choreographed the dance, and then she answered it. She got mad at her, and she got mad at the other girls for saying, like, nothing about it, and just, like, letting her say, I don't get that. That doesn't make any points. Was she just not supposed to reply whenever they gave her the microphone? I don't get it. Abby punishing Maddie for not doing that solo is ridiculous. She did for weeks, putting her towards the bottom of the pyramid, just saying disparaging things to her and all those things. And I just think it really was ridiculous. And especially that episode where they all have solos and then she basically makes Maddie beg for the solo, I thought was ridiculous as well. Like, why are you doing that to her? Like, why? And then she switches out of the part in Trapped, and then Chloe does lead. And I like Chloe's lead for that matter, and I liked Maddie's part in it as well. But it's just like those little things. And like, oh, Maddie has to learn a lesson because she stood up for herself for once, because Melissa said no, she's not going to learn a solo the night before for once. And also Melissa said she did that for the other moms, which I can kind of get as well. But I mean, yeah, that's just ridiculous to do that to Maddie. Like, are you kidding me? Something that I don't really understand is that Kelly gets mad that Abby didn't give Paige a lot of choreography in the Nationals group dance the last text, but Paige broke her foot. And she danced the week before, she got the choreography, and she was in pain. I feel like at least she's in the group dance, and she has recovered from the pain. She broke her foot. She talked about, oh, we flew 3,000 miles to just dance 3 steps. But with that context, I didn't get why she was so mad about it. Like, I still don't. And I feel like Christy could have been nicer when Chloe was running her solo. I definitely will say that. And I get that she wants her to have that fire and that competitive spirit and stuff like that. But she said, like, that's not really who Chloe is. Like, Chloe just has a good heart. She's going to be happy for everyone. Like, it is what it is. And I get she wants Chloe to, you know, really put her all into everything that she's doing and to have that passion and all that stuff. But she just could have been better about it. Like, there's the way she ran it with her. Like, some of the comments, like, why would you say that? And then Abby saying that she'd go back to the pediatrician and see what's wrong with Paige is just ridiculous. And her saying all these things about the kids was stupid. Like, her saying that Paige was stupid is just ridiculous. She always said Brooke was lazy. She always had some underhanded comment to make about Chloe because she didn't like Christy. She was always putting Maddie on the pedestal, and anytime that Maddie didn't live up to that or, you know, was a human, then she would just be unrealistic with her as well, always comparing the other kids to Maddie. She was always getting on Mackenzie for not being as good as Maddie, but it's like they're two different people. So, like, she always had something to say about all the kids. And then all the racism moments with Nia and stuff like that, and just, yeah, racial insensitive moments. So I will say that as well. And yeah, she just got way worse in the season with how rude she was towards the kids, and it gets significantly worse season 3, 4, and continuing. And then next up, Jill was so mean about Nia for the national solo whenever they all had to compete. So it was Nia, Kendall, and Chloe, and saying like, oh, you really think based on that performance that she should do the solo? And it's like, why would you say that in front of the child? Why would you say that? And then you think that that's going to give Kendall the better opportunity to do it. And she really thought that Kendall should get the solo over Chloe because she beat Chloe the week before. And I'm like, no, she shouldn't have. Because honestly, this is Chloe's solo from the beginning, and Abby basically said that. I just feel like she never should have had them compete for the solo to begin with, because that had Chloe written all over it. It really did. It really did. And Chloe executed it to perfection. So, I mean, they should have never competed for it. And Jill was just nasty for that. And then Melissa breaks the tie, and Chloe ends up doing the solo. And it's one of her best. Maddie's solo was cute. The Diary of Anne Frank, what a moment that was. And one funny moment on the show is whenever she's learning the solo originally, and then it got pulled because she got injured and she couldn't do it. But whenever she's learning the solo, and then Kelly's like, I don't even know who this Anne Frank is. And then Holly's just baffled, like, how do you not know who Anne Frank is? And she was like, I'm pretty sure she wasn't doing cartwheels. So that was funny. All the moms are pretty funny. Like, yes, they have their arguments with each other and just moments on the show that I don't love, as already discussed. But, you know, they have a quick win, and their arguments with each other is pretty hilarious, and their comedic timing, I will say. Like, they always make me laugh, especially Christy and Kelly, so I'll have that moment as well. And I forgot that Mackenzie had her Killer Bee solo, so, you know, that was a great moment on the show as well. The Last Text is an iconic group dance. It really is. It's definitely a classic. I loved watching it, and definitely one of their best, and has a message about, you know, don't extra drive, which is very close to my heart. So I appreciated it, and Kathy's commentary on it was iconic. She was like, they drive in this matte looking thing, and I'm like, did that come off of Christy's front porch? Kathy was funny. She really was. She gave some comic relief when we really needed it. I will say that season 2 episode 26 is literally my favorite episode of the entire show for a few reasons. Number one, Chloe wins with her solo Silence, which she just executed to perfection with the choreography, the costuming, like a top 5 Chloe solo, and one of the best moments on the show for sure. So to see her get that vindication and to beat Justice, who beat her a few weeks prior, and get that sash, and she's crying just because it's an emotional moment, and see her on top, you know, it was nice. It really was, especially everything that happens afterwards on the show to her, and just like in general. So it was nice to see her have that moment. And it was interesting because Chrissy said that Chloe thought that that solo had no chance of winning, so it must have felt really good to win with that as well. And then you have Brooke winning with the Diary of Anne Frank, which was a really nice solo. Mackenzie winning with Killer Bee, which was excellent. The group dance winning with The Last Text. So, yeah, I feel like this is one of the bright spots on the show. It's just one of my favorite episodes to watch because, you know, they all ended victorious pretty much. And then I just feel like the show really goes downhill afterwards in just so many different ways. So, yeah, I really like this episode for sure, and that's why it is my favorite. And now let's talk about the reunion that they had. So normally when I watch reality TV, I really look forward to the reunions. Think like Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like the reunion was always going to eat. They're always going to dig up some stuff that I want to, ask questions about and stuff like that, and just really get to the heart of the issue. And they're just always entertaining, a lot of iconic moments. But the Dance Moms reunions, they never ask the questions that I want. Like I just feel like it's all surface level. It's all stuff that we've already talked about on the show. So it's just never really insightful. It doesn't really give much. There's just something that feels so produced and fake about it that I don't like. It doesn't really have the same energy as the show does. I'd rather watch a regular episode of the show, but I rewatched the reunion because I'm reviewing the whole season. And there was this Dance Moms Uncovered episode where she basically said sometimes they reused clips from other reunions, sometimes questions were planted, and just it kind of had everything that I was thinking in terms of why I don't like the reunions and stuff like that. Even Chrissy said she didn't like the reunion. So yeah, the reunion just never really gave what needs to be gave. And Abby literally said Maddie could graduate and I could never hear from her again. That aged so well. She had no idea, and that's exactly what you deserve. I'm glad they got away from you. And in this reunion they also kind of recap season 1 as well. And I wish that they would have had a reunion for season 1, but I'm sure they didn't know how popular it was going to be. So they kind of recapped it and then they brought everybody else in. But Kathy's mom dance, that was funny. That was funny, like watching it again. And then whenever that producer is asking Kelly if she's going to come back, and it's like, that they have to come back because of the contract, right? Like, her and Christy said that they tried to quit the show multiple times, but because of the contract they signed, it was like 6 years, they basically had to continue to be on the show. And that's basically why I think that Melissa, Maddie, and Mackenzie were on for so long. Like, they literally stayed the entirety of their contract, and then they left. So, just asking that question is stupid because that they have to come back to the show. And then Melissa's just so fake, some of her answers in the reunion in general. Like I said, I don't like Melissa at all. I really don't. And someone brought this up in like the subreddit of Dancemoms, but why didn't Abby want multiple stars? Because if you have multiple stars and you're all giving them their best shot, then that's just going to make them want to work harder to come out on top. Her not doing that doesn't make any sense. I definitely agree with them. Kaya definitely clocked all the moms of the reunion. She had their tea on them, so I can definitely appreciate that. I agree with most of what Kaya said at that reunion. I will say that it's so weird that Abby had so much to say about Christy's husband during the reunion. Like, you guys don't like each other, but he's still working to support his daughter. Like, implying that he doesn't support Chloe is just weird. And just even the stuff that she said outside of the show, like, she was basically saying, I don't like the way that she's being raised by her parents. And it's like, how are they raising her wrong? Like, she's a nice, polite kid. So, that's just like weird, some of the comments that she says. And she even said in one of her interviews that basically they can't leave because of the contract, so she just goes for the jugular and she just says whatever she thinks because there's nothing that they can do about it. And just her justifying being so nasty to these girls, I'll just never understand it. Also, they said during the reunion, like, the reason why they're always at the studio and stuff like that is to support their kids, obviously, and, like, be there. They don't want their kids to grow up, and it's like they missed everything. So I appreciate that they're all so hands-on, and just imagine all the stuff that Abby could have said and got away with if they weren't there at the studio to, hold her accountable, and even the other moms, too. So I definitely do appreciate them for that aspect, and, again, Abby just being so hard on the dads for not always being there whenever they have jobs to work and, like, other things, like, she just gets annoyed. Now on to my recap of my favorite dances from this season. So my favorite solos: Helen Keller by Maddie, absolutely loved it as mentioned. Silence by Chloe, one of her best. Diary of Anne Frank by Brooke, absolutely. And Daisy Chain by Mackenzie. My favorite duet was Inside of Me by Maddie and Chloe. Can't go wrong with Maddie, Chloe, and duet. My favorite trio was Somebody Told Me, Maddie, Chloe, and Brooke. Really nice one. And another one I would really love the full dance of. Now onto my favorite group dances. So The Last Text is iconic as mentioned. Glam was a really cool one. Like I said, I liked Avalanche a lot. Private Eyes is the first group dance I ever remember seeing on Dancemoms. And so it kind of has nostalgia for that. But I also just think it was a really fun group dance. You can tell that they were having fun. I like the costumes and stuff as well. So my overall thoughts on season 2 of Dancemoms: this is one of the best seasons of the show because we had a step up from season 1 for the most part in terms of production value, choreography. I thought a lot of the storylines in the show were at least interesting, so I really did enjoy it. Abby's treatment of the girls definitely gets worse in this season for sure, and it gets way worse in the subsequent seasons. It really does. But this is definitely one of the best seasons of the show for sure. It really is. It's a lot of fun to watch. I really appreciated it. This is definitely a great moment in the show, and it's nice to be able to watch the entire thing through once again. Oh, this is getting posted the day after my season 1 video, and I'm sure you're wondering, like, how did you do that so fast? So basically, I recorded my season 1 video a few days ago, and then it came out, like, yesterday. So, like, it's already been done, and then I immediately started watching season 2. So that's kind of, like, how I got ahead of the curve, and I just, like, binged the entire season. Season 3 is going to take a little bit longer just because there's more episodes and stuff like that, so it'll take me a little bit longer to watch it, but you know, that will come whenever it comes. And then I'm going to review every season except for season 8 because I hated that season and I'm not watching it again. I refuse. So yes, that will be coming. And then at the end, I'm going to rank all of the seasons of Dancemoms again on this channel and just give a lot more detail. Let me know what you guys think of the season down below. What were your favorite dances? What were your favorite moments? And all that kind of stuff. If I have any other thoughts, I'll leave a pinned comment down below. I tried to be really thorough, but I'm sure that there's going to be some storylines or some parts that I forgot to mention as well. And so there's that. So if you want to see similar videos to this, I did do a review of season 1. I also shared my favorite Maddie solos, my favorite Chloe solos, my favorite group dances, duets, and trios, and I also talked about my thoughts on the reunion as well. And like I said, I will be reviewing subsequent seasons, so you guys can check that out. And so if you enjoyed the video, give a like down below. It helps me out a lot. You can subscribe for more. Usually I make music content. This is different than what I typically do, but I've been rolling on the Dancemoms content. It's fun, so I'm going to continue it. And then I'm also going to have my main channel. I just uploaded my Dua Lipa album reviews. You can check that out. My social media, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, stuff like that. If you would like to follow me, as well as my Airbuds account. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.